Hello folks, so my favourite Oasis pedal just got some serious upgrades. Introducing SCRAN V2 from SoundLad Liverpool. Now you may already have seen my V1 demo where I called this an Oasis in a box pedal, and I stand by that, but Mark has really leaned into it with this new colourway. This actually comes in two colourways. This one's called Cool Britannia, this one is called Sleaze. And if we compare V1 with V2, you can see the controls on this one are much simpler and the knob labels are less esoteric. But it's not just cosmetic changes. Mark's redesigned the circuit. The cheese knob, which he found most people just left at 1 anyway because it was very difficult to tell what that was doing, he's just internally set that at that level. But he's also added a pickup simulator to make it more friendly with any impedance mismatches. I'm looking at you, weird fuzz pedals. So the V2 version you can put anywhere on your board without worrying about that. There's also 2 modes via this toggle switch. So in the down position, 90s mode gives you the OG SCRAN flavours, but flip it up for 2000s mode and you get a fixed discrete op-amp tube screamer style circuit, specifically tuned to get you in the ballpark for a range of classic indie tones. So let's check out some tones. So we'll start off with my clean tone. I'm using my Morgan MVP 66. Just right on the very edge of breaker. Now for the intro I was playing supersonic with these settings. Which is awesome. It's really touch sensitive too. Versus so as you dig in, you get more back from the pedal, really responsive to pick attack, very dynamic. And the first bunch of settings I'm going to show you are going to be all Oasis on the 90s setting, right? But just to give you an idea of the other circuit, right? If I flip it over to 2000s, 00, you know, there's a fair bit of extra gain on tap, right? But we'll dive into that side of the circuit a little bit later. But we're back in 90s mode, pretty much everything in the middle, just to give you an idea of what that sounds like. Rock and roll star tone for me, this one. Really useful thing about this pedal is the thick knob, because as you go anti-clockwise it becomes more of a treble boost, whereas if you go right the way around clockwise it becomes incredibly fuzzy. So that in conjunction with the 2 interactive gain stages gives you a lot of scope. I've just pulled it right the way back, rolled off the treble a tiny bit, and we're going to do Live Forever. So playing lightly for the verse. Wonderful sort of bloom, isn't it? And then into the chorus, if we dig in. Great fun, right? Still get that note definition even when you're arpeggiating and leaving it ring out, right? Now one of the cool things that Mark's done with this is he's put in a pickup simulator, and what that allows you to do is to put the SCRAN anywhere on your board and it's not going to care about any sort of weird and wonderful fuzz pedals that you might have. The pickup sim basically takes care of that, but you can turn it off because there is a subtle variance in how it makes the pedal sound. So you can essentially go back to the old school SCRAN by just turning that off. So this is the out of the box setting with the pickup simulator on. With it off, it sounds like this. Bit more sort of bloom to it, isn't it? And it is a little different under the fingers. So it kind of changes the dynamic of the pedal very, very subtly. And then back to the standard setting. You know what I mean? There's a little bit less sort of meat to it. And again, switch back. So if you have a preference, then you can always go back to my first video for all the settings in that. But this one is going to have all the settings for the new out-of-the-box setting. Now, back to that thick knob. This is brilliant for things like cigarettes and alcohol, which are quite fuzzy tones. So I've got this up, as you can see, up to about sort of 3 o'clock. I've actually turned down gain 2 though. So that's a lovely tone, isn't it? Next up with these settings, again, thick knobs right the way down. Gain 1 and 2 are in play, and the treble's up a little bit. You get a wonderfully chimey sort of overdrive. Great for Don't Look Back in Anger. I'm playing lightly there, right? If I dig in, lovely, isn't it? And if we go, that for me is worth the price of admission alone. Slightly different gain structure again. Great one for Champagne Supernova. These next settings are a lovely contrast to that. Great for a roll with it. Now let's spend a little bit of time on the second mode. 2000s or 00 as it is labelled. So flick that toggle switch up, and I'm going to show you an Oasis tune for that as well. Actually, Acquiesce is a brilliant tune, slightly different tone. I think it's quite trebly, and this circuit I think is great for that one. You know, you've got that, you know, it's got that sort of twangy edge, and I have got the treble notched right up. That rhythm part's cool. Let's put everything Everything in the middle, again, the thick knob doesn't come into play here, but the other four do. Great one for I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. There's lots of Arctic monkeys and strokes and stuff living in this side of the pedal, I think. You know, that sort of stuff. Nice for that light gainy lead stuff, which is quite, you know, cuts through the mix. And then for the chorusy stuff you have. I appreciate I've been showing you humbuckers throughout, so do some single coils, shall we? And we'll look at some strokes. This is my clean tone. And then with the pedal. Lovely. I've only tweaked these ever so slightly. I've just dialed back the gain a little bit. Really good for Is This It? That's a cool tune. Lovely, isn't it? And it does meaty chords too. So superb for all that 90s Britpop stuff, but you know, it'll now take you into the 2000s as well. So I'm going to play you out with a little bit of Someday by The Strokes. See you soon.